Today, I don my low-budget Halloween Cindy Lou Who cosplay to tell you about the most underrated holiday horror movie, which has got to be Anna and the Apocalypse, which is streaming now on Tubi. But don't let that scare you off. I promise it's actually good as opposed to all of the other movies on Tubi. Anna and the Apocalypse had a wide release in 2018. It is a musical horror Christmas comedy. Maybe that's why it ended up on Tubi. Because to like this movie, you first have to like horror movies, which cuts out a large chunk of people. Then you have to be in the mood for a horror comedy, which arguably could add a wider interest for some people, but for other horror fans, that might scare them away as well. Then you have to be in the mood to watch a Christmas or holiday movie, which really only has an audience for 2 months out of the year, max. And on top of all of that, you have to enjoy a movie musical. And if all that doesn't scare you off, go ahead and save this video to watch later if you haven't seen the movie, and if not, let's keep going. John McPhail directed Anna and the Apocalypse, which follows Anna Shepard, a late high school student, and her ragtag group of comrades as they navigate the zombie apocalypse. Now, it does take a minute to get to the actual apocalypse in the movie, but that doesn't bother me. It takes a lot of time to establish characters, setting, and scenario so that we know when things go awry, what they're missing. Also, not unlike Y2K by Kyle Mooney, which just came out a couple weeks ago, Anna and the Apocalypse establishes a large cast so that it has characters to pull from when inevitably people have to die in the apocalypse. And this movie does not shy away from killing off its large cast, which I'll get to more later. Also, in researching for this video, I found out that John McPhail cites as his largest inspirations for this movie Rocky Horror Picture Show, West Side Story, Breakfast Club, and the musical episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Just to give you some context on tone. So let's talk about performances. At first, Ella Hunt kind of can read as a generic female lead, last girl. Hunt can read as kind of a generic female lead, but turns out to be kind of an epic final girl. The performances of characters John, Steph, and Chris don't super do so much for me, but they don't have to. Honestly, it's kind of my position in a lot of horror movies that most of the characters just serve to provide context and environment for the main characters who continue on through the entire story. Maybe that's a little bleak, but this movie relies heavily on stereotypes to help represent each character. This movie is without a doubt a true homage to horror comedy, and at times can seem almost like a parody of it because of this. In one of its first songs, Hollywood Ending, it makes fun of the fact that a lot of characters we just assume want to have this beautiful, wonderful life, and that in high school, it does not feel like they will ever get their Hollywood ending. Ironic as we're watching them in a movie, right? Mostly this song helps to tell each character's motivations. The principal is a low-life scumbag who everybody hates. Chris and Lisa are head over heels in love. The way that John is for Anna. The way that Anna may be for Nick. It's catchy, but not my favorite song in the movie, but it does its job. I would also be remiss if I did not talk about It's That Time of Year, which totally pokes fun at Mean Girls, the over-sexualization of high schoolers, and the excuse of using a high school talent show for teenagers to just be like, it is overtly sexual and absolutely hilarious. And in addition to feeling like an allusion to Mean Girls, it also seems to poke fun at Santa Baby and these Christmas songs that have these very heavy sexual undertones. Come on, Santa, give it to me. Which, aside from the fish rap, which I'm not even going to talk about, leads us to, in my opinion, one of the best songs ever written for a movie musical. Turning My Life Around is an upbeat, joyous romp that plays off of this trope of main characters being oblivious to violence around them and takes it to a complete extreme, with both John and Anna completely disregarding literal hordes of zombies and neighbors being murdered around them. It is hilarious, it is catchy as hell, and it is delightful. Aside from this, one of our other favorite songs in this movie would probably be Soldier at War, which is Nick's, battle song. Also, if you're trying to make him into an asshole, why make him sexy though? I will say he plays a great jackass, but also still very human, talking about the things with his father and his emotional past, but also still finding time to be such a bully. I will say the movie does leave kind of unclear Nick and Anna's relationship at the beginning of the movie, but it doesn't super bother me that they don't spell it out word for word. Then we start getting to these brutal deaths. John sacrifices himself to save Anna, even after being brutally fucking friend-zoned minutes earlier. Chris and Lisa are both bitten by zombies at the same time after finding out that Chris's grandmother literally died like minutes earlier, and they died together as zombies. After Paul Kaye's epic villain song, he totally gets his comeuppance being shoved into a crowd of zombies. But not after delivering some of the craziest, like, clean lines of insult ever. He's not like, fuck you, blah, blah, blah. He literally demeans an adult man for being a janitor, calls him a pleb. And Paul Kaye has this excellent way of making all of these commonplace words sound like slurs. And that, my friends, is how you know an actor has a Shakespearean background. But the final horrible death. Can I talk about how you cried in the video?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks. I'll be done in like 5 minutes, I promise. Okay. Love you too. Bye. Is Anna's father, who she fights the entire time to save and get back to, was already bitten before she got there, and he forces her to leave so she can live the rest of her life. My partner, who I have never seen in nearly 5 years of dating, never seen cry at a movie, cried at this. And then in the epilogue, they flash back to show him looking at a photo of her while he passes away. It's fucking... And Andrew was right when he's talking about this movie setting itself up as a comedy and fully leaning into the genre. Completely earns its dramatic moments in the third act. Final notes about this movie. One of Paul Kaye's lines is that a purge on humanity is long overdue. And it's just very unfortunate this came out 2 years before the pandemic hit. Just a thought. Another thing that's hard about this movie is I'm not necessarily sold on the title. It doesn't really convey the genre or theme of the movie. And obviously that's not a title's sole purpose. But for a movie this niche, I would be very surprised if a lot of people didn't come in expecting one thing and then leave having seen another. But also maybe that works to this movie's advantage, is it doesn't advertise that it's a musical. It doesn't necessarily advertise itself as a horror comedy in the title alone. So it can cast a wider net and charm people with its own performances and storytelling. Ultimately, I just don't think this movie has any right to be as good as it is. It is funny, delightful, hilarious. Did I say funny and hilarious? Dramatic, gory, and super charming. If you are in the small percentage of people that a Christmas horror musical comedy sounds great to, then this movie is perfect for you. Anyways, that about sums it up for me. But if you like this video, feel free to subscribe and tell us what you thought about it in the comments. I really love hearing what people think of movies. It's like my favorite thing to do. But yeah, I hope I'll see you guys soon. Bye!